Hello, welcome to GMT. I'm Kasia Madeira. There is confusion and there is chaos in Tehran after coordinated attacks in Iran's parliament and also at the Ayatollah Khomeini Mausoleum. Now, officials say that at least 12 people are dead. There are a number of casualties at both sites. Iran's deputy minister says that the gunmen dressed as women before they broke into the parliament building and then they opened fire. Across the city at the shrine, a female suicide bomber reportedly shot several people before then detonating her explosives. Now, so-called Islamic State say that it is behind the attacks. James Landale reports.
The Iranian parliament this morning. According to local reports, 4 or 5 gunmen burst into the complex armed with AK-47 rifles and grenades and rampaged through the building. Security forces quickly locked down the area in central Tehran. Inside, there were reports of hostages being taken amid a standoff between the attackers and police. Some gunmen fired out of the windows, and there were reports that one attacker blew himself up on the 4th floor. As emergency services rushed to the scene, local media reported a number of people killed, possibly at least 5, and many more wounded in the attack. About half an hour later, several miles to the south, a second attack on the shrine of Ayatollah Khomeini, the founder of the Iranian Republic. At least one of the attackers detonated a suicide bomb outside. As police rushed to the scene, there were reports that at least one person, a gardener, had been killed and many others wounded. A state of emergency has been declared across Iran. The group that calls itself Islamic State claimed responsibility for the ongoing attack. Iranian-backed forces are fighting IS across Iraq and Syria. But IS attacks like this in Iran are very unusual. And there could be few more symbolic targets than Iran's parliament and the mausoleum of its founder. James Landale, BBC News.
Obviously, this is a developing situation. Let's get the very latest from Amir Paiva from BBC Persian. It's difficult to comprehend exactly what the details are, but just bring us up to date with what we know.
Well, the hostage situation in the Iranian parliament is still going on, that much we know. There was some confusion about who's been taken hostage. There were reports that the wives of 2 MPs were taken hostage, with a report that has been denied. So we don't know who is now in the hands of the hostage takers. In Iranian leaders' mausoleum, there are reports that still there are terrorists at large. Whether they have taken someone hostage, where they're hiding, where they've gone, again, is not clear. So both cases are still ongoing, and the security forces trying to cordon off the area, get to the attackers.
In the parliament, we saw very dramatic pictures, especially of a child being lowered down. So obviously there were children, families within there, and it's believed, because normally the parliament is really difficult to access in terms of getting your phones in or anything like that, and yet here we are.
Exactly. So we're talking about 3 different buildings. The first for public who come to submit letters, requests, meet their MPs. Sometimes they come with their children. That's where the attackers have penetrated the whole compound, and then going to a second building, which is a tall building, which are the offices of the MPs. So that's where some of the gunshots took place, and also possibly the hostage-taking. And there's a third building which looks like a pyramid, which is the main building where the sessions of the parliament take place. And surprisingly, at the same time when this was happening, the MPs took a very laid-back approach, and they continued with the session, and they left the building only after the session was finished. So the attackers approached the public areas, so to speak, and that's how they got into the building. That's where they possibly have been close to the public. Like I said, there could be children as well.
Amir, when it comes to the second situation at the mausoleum, you cannot get a more symbolic building than that. If it is so-called Islamic State, as they claim, my goodness, what symbolism.
Exactly. And that one day after the anniversary of the death of the Iranian revolution's leader, yesterday there were huge gatherings in that mausoleum, led by the current Iranian leader. All the Iranian officials would have been there. You would have thought that ISIS would have wanted to do this attack yesterday, except that security in such ceremonies are very, very tight. And they've done this only a day after that anniversary.
Amir Paiva from BBC Persian, thank you so much for talking us through all of those events taking place in Tehran. And of course, we're going to continue to monitor everything for you there, and we'll bring that to you. But now let's turn to our